Hey guys, that's it. Bringing you another commentary. This time I'm playing Kayle mid. Now, Kayle mid is a champion that I actually have played quite a lot, and she has helped me gain quite a lot of ELO. She was actually the champion I played in my promotion series to get into Platinum, and she was the champion that, won me the game. She's a champion that has slightly fallen off of recent because of the little nerf that she took, as to be honest, she was incredibly strong. Her damage was insane with the slow, and obviously back when before the nerf, she did increase damage when her target was slowed, where that isn't the case anymore. But still, she is a very viable pick, especially against, if you see my lane opponent, is a Kha'Zix. Now, that is pretty much the reason why I've picked Kayle this game, because Kha'Zix is a very, hard lane opponent, and, I know Kha'Zix very well. He's one of my most played champions, so I know Kayle can kind of beat him and kind of give him a hard time. Now, if we look at my starting items, I actually have started Fortitude Elixir, and this is basically to counter his. Now, if you both have Fortitude Elixir, you're basically just relying on who's going to use it at the right time, who's going to make ultimate use of that little bit of surprise that is needed. Obviously, when I say the surprise, you either jump into them, burst it, and then you have more damage, so you might kill them, not, when they don't expect it. Or if you're in a straight up brawl, you both get to low health. One of you has it, one of you doesn't. You pop yours, you get a little bit more health back, and there's an easy kill for you. So that's kind of why I've taken the Fortitude Elixir, just to counter his. So in this game, our comp is Kayle mid, Volibear jungle, Renekton top, and Caitlyn Janna bot lane. The enemy teams is Nautilus jungle, which is going to probably be, as Saint Vicious said, the highest contested jungle in LCS, in the next couple of weeks, or when LCS comes back, if Nautilus doesn't get changed. As with the new Spirit Stone item, that really has made him viable. The rest of their team is a Thresh, Tristana bot lane, which is quite an aggressive bot lane, especially with a Thresh. Kha'Zix mid, obviously, and a Jace top. Now, their comp is basically a Chase Me comp. They've got the Jace with the speed up gate, which will help the Nautilus catch up a little bit more and land hooks. They've also got the Kha'Zix that can jump into the middle of the team, general poke, that type of thing. Now, if we focus in on mid lane, obviously early on, he hit level 2 before me, as I was helping out Blue Buff and Wolves a bit longer than normally I should. And, he will go aggressive on me right now. Now, one thing to note, yes, he does get me low, but he uses his Fortitude Elixir. That is his Fortitude Elixir blown. He has no surprise health that will just pop up. He has no increased damage. He has everything that he has now. So that's actually put me in an advantage. I still have mine, and he doesn't have his. He has it used. I'm just waiting for level 2, and then I actually can go a bit more aggressive on him. And that's the one thing good about Kayle. As soon as you hit level 2, then you're actually at a pretty good stage in your overall game. Level 1 is actually a really hard thing for Kayle, especially if you do take Q, which I chose to do. Now, here we go. This is the first blood fight. Pop my Fortitude Elixir, and bam. Potentially, I didn't need to flash for that kill, but I just wanted to make sure to secure it, as he may have had jump to get away or something like that. So I get a nice early first blood on the Kha'Zix, which will give me lane dominance against the Kha'Zix, which is actually very hard to do. But obviously, that you can see that Fortitude Elixir basically gave me the first blood. He burned his early, and I had mine for the first blood fight. So that's something to note. Now, if we just focus on bot lane a bit, this lane is a very aggressive lane, and with a Janna is an amazing champion to get rid of aggressive lanes. She's brilliant against Alistar, Leona, even Thresh. As soon as they want to engage with Hook or, anything like that, Janna will simply whirlwind away, and, they're pretty much safe. This works quite well against a Nautilus. As soon as he's going to try and hook in, the Janna whirlwind will come and get rid of him. We focus in on top lane a bit. Our Renekton has just been under tower a little bit here, just farming up as much as he can. Obviously, with the Jace having range, the Renekton may find it a bit hard early on to sustain in lane. There's a gank bot lane that happened, that the Thresh lanterned over here to get the Nautilus in lane, but with the Janna whirlwind, they were unsuccessful. Returning back to mid lane, we can see what items I've picked up. I've picked up myself a Fiendish Codex, which is, I'm building towards the Nashor's Tooth first item on Kayle, which is a very core item for Kayle. Everything builds... Well, every single stat in the Nashor's Tooth is a very good item for Kayle. If we look at the Kha'Zix's items, obviously me getting first blood has given me quite a lot of gold advantage, and he's only been able to pick up a longsword, so he has no mana sustain at this point. Put a ward here, as I would be thinking that the Nautilus might want to gank soon, and I do spot the Nautilus right here standing in a ward. I just go back a bit, as, you know, I don't really want to go, you know, ham on the Kha'Zix when the Nautilus is around, and the Nautilus does something really weird here. He runs directly in lane, giving away his position. Now, this is something you should never really do as a jungler. The whole point of jungle is the element of surprise, and that is no element of surprise there. If I was him, yeah, sure, he doesn't know he was spotted in a ward here, but never run through lane, go the long way around. Sure, you're going to have a little longer clear time, but in the end of the day, the enemy don't know where you are. Now, if you're wondering why I'm standing still right now, I am changing keybinds. For those of you who have watched several of my videos, you'll realise that my active item that I normally bind on item slot 6, I bind it to the button T. Now, I didn't make this up myself, I got it from Voyboy, which I found very effective. But on Kayle, obviously early on I did have the Fortitude Elixir on T, but I have changed Self-Cast Ultimate to that button. I have changed Self-Cast Ultimate to T, which has basically allowed me to have increased reaction time of casting Ultimate on myself. Obviously, I still do have just normal Smart Cast Ultimate on R, so if I do choose to use you know, it on someone else. Just pressuring the Kha'Zix a bit under tower, trying to make him feel uncomfortable. I'm getting a couple of tower hits, which is not always a good idea, but with my heal and a bit of sustain, I can, you know, I'm fine with taking it. I'm trying to push the Kha'Zix to his tower, as I know if you know, let's talk about his summoner spells for a little bit. He's got Teleport, I've got Ignite, which kind of shows he wants to roam, or he thought I would take TP. Now, I took Ignite for one reason. I want to kill this Kha'Zix. Now, that is basically it. It's very basic. If you have Ignite in lane, it basically means you want to kill your lane opponent if you take TP. In a way, it means, okay, I don't really want to kill you, but I want to go help my team. Now, this Kha'Zix, I believe, has made a mistake. Although Kayle is a pretty good champion against Kha'Zix, Kha'Zix can still kill a Kayle. Don't get me wrong. Kayle is not completely immune to a Kha'Zix, you know, kill potential. Kha'Zix to TP, so that gives me advantage in lane. Obviously, in First Blood, that helped me get First Blood. He did not have Ignite where I did. Now, he's pushed mid up so he can base, which I think relatively soon I may base and do the same. I might actually pick up blue buff, which has just come now. Something to know, always time your buffs in chat. Just put it in. Obviously, these buffs are 5 minutes, and, you know, always time them. If you don't know your jungle timers, I really recommend you do. Obviously, these small camps here are 1 minute, buffs are 5 minutes, dragons 6 minutes, and the baron is 7 minutes. Always know that in your head, and you'll find yourself picking up buffs. They won't get stolen away, and that type of thing. Now, I do want to note one thing in this game. Some people have asked me to do games where everything doesn't go squeaky clean, everything does not go perfect, and I'll just tell you, this is one of them games. Obviously, it is looking quite good at the moment, with our Volibear having 1 kill and myself having 1 kill, and everybody generally being ahead in CS. Now, that is one thing to note. We are always ahead in CS in this game, or generally we are, but there are things that go wrong, so I will point them out to you later on. Renekton is doing his usual, you know, quite strong up top lane versus a Jace. This is the point that the Renekton can come to his element. Eben has chosen to go into a 2 Doran's Blade, which gives the Renekton a bit more sustain and a bit more tankiness as well as damage. Bot lane, there's just a bit of poke going on, back and forth, that type of thing. Obviously, you'd actually think of these lanes being quite poke orientated, with the Tristana having quite high range and her dot with E, and you obviously Caitlyn, the ultimate poke champion bot lane. Volibear just picking up his red right now. You know, he's maybe looking for a gank soon. You know, generally just farming up a little bit. If we look at the CS between the junglers, let's actually move everybody so they're actually parallel to who their lone opponent. There we go. Yeah, actually, if you guys just want to look at the bottom lane and see how the CS is going, it is sorted for you there. Now, one thing to note this game, they do a gank top, but here we go. Eben burns his flash, but he gets 2 flashes, so that's actually a pretty good trade. Eben will go down here, but he's trying to delay them as much as he can. As you can see on the minimap, I'm making my way up top, but there is 3 of them here. So here we go. Here I come to get as many kills as possible. I go for the Kha'Zix first, as he has a blue buff. Firstly, I get rid of their blue buff. Second, I go for their Jace. Right now is where I make my mistake. I go looking for the Nautilus, and I early ultimate myself. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of damage to this Nautilus, but he does manage to pick me up and does get my killing spree. Bit of a mistake on my part, although I do believe I may have been able to kill him if I timed my ultimate better. Obviously, his damage with W comes in only when he has the shield up, and I burned that with one auto attack. So I did not have to waste my ultimate simply because of his W. I should have waited for his ultimate. Kha'Zix with TP has decided to go down bot lane, which is his first time using the teleport this game, where our bot lane has done the clever thing and decided to run up river. They're trying to get away as much as they can, but, you know, it's quite hard to escape a Kha'Zix and that type of thing. Now, Tristana burns her flash here, so that's not a terrible thing to do. But then our Caitlyn decides to use her flash, which, you know, may not be the greatest thing. Now, here's another mistake by our Volibear. He runs into three of them, thinking that he may be able to get one of their kills, one of the kills. But then realizes he's not tanky enough, tries to use his flash away, and, wastes the summon spell, and basically dies for nothing. I'm coming in mid lane myself, seeing if I can actually try and get anything out of this. Obviously, that is a very bad trade for us. We're still ahead in gold, but that has actually brought them back into the game somewhat. Pushing in mid. Now, here's something to note. They all leave this Thresh alone, and this Thresh is left with me in lane. So I'm thinking, if this Thresh comes closer anytime soon, then I'm going to jump on this Thresh and try and kill him. So here we go. The Thresh actually comes quite close. Start auto-attacking him, and at this point, I'm fairly strong with Nash's Tooth. Here's the mistake the Thresh actually made. He stopped and tried to hook me. Now, if that Thresh continued running, I probably would have still tried to go for that kill. Although I may have gone way too deep. Sure, I'll have to burn my ultimate, but I may even have had to burn my flash. So that Thresh should never have stopped to try and hook me. He should just, keep running. Because obviously a Thresh hook means that you actually stop in place to try and hook somebody. So at this point in the game, it's 11:30 in the game, it's 6-4 in kills, and we're ahead in gold by about 1.5k. So the game is not looking terribly bad for us at this stage. Now, if we look at my items right now, I've obviously said I've got the Nash's Tooth, which is an incredibly strong item for Kayle. Got my boots, and I've also got a Sapphire Crystal, as Kayle does have a few mana problems. She has, a very high base mana, and she hasn't actually got that mana herself, so getting the Sheen early on, which will eventually build into the Lich Bane, is always a good idea. Now, the build I am using is probably called the Alex Ich build. It's basically where I got it from when he played LCS. Now, top lane, he died simply because he did not have a ward. That is one thing to note. Top lane, you're very vulnerable to ganks. Always have a ward. Every single time you base, make sure you pick up a ward. Going a bit, aggressive on this Kha'Zix. I take a couple of tower hits, which is not great. Bam, use my ultimate and get a kill. So obviously having that ultimate bound onto T, as you can see, gets me an increased rate, and I can use it anytime I want without, having to move my mouse or that type of thing. Top lane pick up the top tower, which has basically increased the Jace's roaming potential or their dragon pressure. Now, some people may question, how does getting top tower increase dragon pressure? Basically, your top laner will have nowhere to go. He doesn't want to overextend this deep, so he'll basically go towards his team and help with dragon. Unfortunately, they managed to get a Thresh hook on the Caitlyn and pick up a kill, which, is not always good. But at this point, I'm telling our Janet to try and delay them as much as he can, as I'm coming in. And with my damage right now, I'll probably be able to pick up a kill if I can attack somebody. The Janna, as I said, just to delay them as much as they can, which she's doing a quite good job. She's keeping the interest of the Tristana. But I did see the Thresh go up this way through this ward. So right now, I'm telling the Janna right back off. I'm going for the Thresh. Here we go. I'm trying to kill the Thresh as quick as I can. He does another hook on me, and then I lose LOS. As you can see, I tried to cast my Q there, and it didn't work. If that did not lose LOS, that would have been a kill. But then I decide to back off, as you can see, there is 4 in the, bottom lane, or more or less. Just escaping quite easily on Kayle, and Nautilus decides to ultimate me, which is quite a big mistake. He never will be able to kill me under tower, especially that Caitlyn has come. Now here we go. Here's where the game started to change for the enemy team. Their Jace is now bot lane, as obviously, as I said, he can't roam, or his roaming potential has increased as his top tower is gone. So this means that the dragon pressure has increased. They're going for dragon right now. Now right now it is a 4v4, as the Thresh did have to base. So I am telling my team we can fight this, but we have to be very precise of what we're doing. Now our Volibear, good intentions, but does run into the middle of their team, which as you can see, he just gets burnt instantly. So that was a very poor decision by his part. And as you can see right now, I do a fail flash. That is my mistake of dying, and I'll always say that is my mistake. Renekton does pick up top tower, which, they have not picked up dragon yet, but at the moment they have picked up 2 of the kills, and now they picked up 3. So the Tristana on the enemy team is now 5-0, and this is where the game starts to turn for them. Obviously, this means that it's not a squeaky clean game for us. We, lack a bit of communication with our top laner. Obviously, with them getting top tower, we should have realised that their Jace would have gone for dragon with the rest of their team. But yeah, it's a mistake on our part, and we'll always put our hands up saying that. And basically, to rectify this, we basically just need more communication with our top laner at this point. Basically telling him, right, we need you bot lane, just push up your top lane and come down, as that's basically what the Jace will be doing for his team. My items right now, I've got quite a lot of increased burst as soon as I pick up my Sheen, and I have done. So yeah, my burst has actually increased right now with the Sheen proc when I use a spell. So if we look at the CS just very quickly, our Volibear's slightly ahead, but obviously behind in kills and assists. Our support is down on 1 kill and down on 2 assists. Mid lane, I'm actually ahead in 4 kills, but down on assists, and I'm ahead in CS, which is not bad. Bottom lane, obviously, the Tristana is 5-0, but has less CS than the Caitlyn, so very good job by Caitlyn, but still is 1-3. And top lane is 0-2-2 against the Jace, which is 1-2-4. But to be fair to the Renekton, he has got more CS, so pretty good job on Eben, and obviously moving on to the game, we'll hope for more CS and a bigger advantage in that way. Now, they are hovering around Dragon, which we can't really contest it at the moment, as you can see, our Renekton is heading back top, as there is quite a big wave, where their Jace knows that there's a big top, so he can just come back with his team. Now, that is one advantage I will say about Jace. He's very good at pushing up a wave. And just quickly, you can see my burst on Kha'Zix. That was 1 Q and 1 auto attack, and I took him to 2/3. So you can see straight away that I actually can get quite a lot of kill potential on. Now here's where the game starts to go good for us in a way. These guys are grouped as 5 again, where we're not 5, and they go for the dragon. Now I do something quite clever here. I decide, right, we can't fight it. It didn't go well last time, so I'm simply going to go for this mid tower, which I do. I tell my team not to fight. Don't fight yet. Don't fight yet. I'm going to get the mid tower and wait for our Renekton to come. He's shown up right now. Now we can fight. Kha'Zix goes a bit deep on the Volibear, and on that there is a team fight engage. So here comes a team fight. There's not much to say. Obviously, position-wise for the AD carries. AD carry over here, AD carry over here. He gets hooked in, which is pretty good by the Nautilus. But still, Caitlyn with Cleanse manages to get out. Bam, we win a team fight. We lose one person and we get 4 of them. So immediately we know we can beat them in team fights. We were down on gold, we were down on kills, but still we were able to beat them in a team fight. Now, one thing to note about what I did, maybe a bit wrong, maybe, maybe right, I did not use my ultimate in that fight. And obviously we lost Volibear, but there is one thing to note about that. Sure, I could have used it on Volibear, but if they did manage to, hook that Caitlyn or burst that Caitlyn down, I would have used the ultimate on Caitlyn, which is a much more valuable target to keep alive than a Volibear. Obviously, Caitlyn is a lot of our damage being the AD carry, but as well as myself having a lot of the damage, I may have wanted to save the ultimate if they were to turn their attention to myself. Basing, obviously, with that fight, we did gain a lot of gold. So all of us, if we just look at the gold purses, Janna's got 1600, that's a lot for a support. Caitlyn's got 1500, maybe a BF sword in there. Renekton's got 1100. If we look at the gold differences between everybody now, obviously the Nautilus is still ahead. The Thresh is now actually behind of the Janna. Mid lane, I'm ahead of the Kha'Zix. Bottom lane, the Tristana is just ahead. One thing to note, she is 5-0 and just ahead of our AD carry, only by 200 gold. So that's the power of CS. CS is king. You get so much gold by CS, it's unreal. And if we look at Renekton, he's ahead of Jay. So right now we're looking at in a quite a comfortable position. Obviously the kills are very even, and the gold is more or less even at the 18-minute stage. 1,000 gold difference is not a whole lot at this stage of the game. Picking up the blue buff, obviously, and right now I've picked up my blasting one, building it obviously into the Lichbane eventually. And one thing I will say the enemy team do quite well is when they actually go for objectives, they keep their lanes pushed. Top lane is generally always pushed when they go for objective, and right now they are pushing the bot lane, and they may look to go for a mid tower or something of that sort. Which goes quite deep onto the Janna and Volibear, and the Tristana actually engages straight into the enemy team, which is actually quite a bad mistake. So they actually decide to go for the Volibear. Bit of miscommunication here. The Janna goes for the Trist, does manage to get her flash, but then here we go. This is a bad moment for us. This is just tunnel vision chasing, which we should never do. Right now, again, they are 5. We should have realised that they are 5. I go way too deep, which is my own mistake, and I get bursted. I don't even manage to use my ult. I managed to use it on the Caitlyn, which, semi, good, but in the end of the day, it was kind of useless anyway. So again, this is miscommunication on our part of the team. Their Jace is doing a really good job always sticking with their team at the right points of the game, where Renekton is quite a lot of the time top lane. So this is the point of the game when you have to realise when is lane phase over, and that was probably about 4 minutes ago. Now that we know and we've really alliterated to the whole team, right, laning phase is over, make sure we're 5, we need to fight as 5, we can beat them as 5. Now we've told the Renekton to be with us, and you'll see from now on in the video that he is a lot of the time more with us. Now right now I'm telling my team, as soon as we get up, we do want to fight this team fight if we can. As you can see, the Thresh is quite low in health and mana, the Kha'Zix is low mana, the Tristana is low mana, so this would be a good fight for us. But unfortunately, they do back out in time and get away. Is clearing the bot wave just of minions, and right now I've got my Lich Bane, so again my burst has increased quite a bit. Now the red buff is up, which we're going to start giving to our Caitlyn for increased damage. Obviously the last red buff was stolen away by the enemy Tristana. Quite a big wave in mid lane, obviously with Kayle. She is really good at CSing, really easy to CS with once you have several items, as the AP ratios on her E just make sure the minion wave just absolutely, obliterate, and you'll be able to pick up pretty much every CS in the wave. Now, the Tristana did pick up the enemy blue, which I would actually question that. I would say is a lot more useful on a Kha'Zix, but, the Tristana, yes, is fed at this point, so maybe that's their reasoning behind giving it to Tristana. And right now, we're just waiting. We're trying to see where their team is, as most of the time in this game, we have been caught out by being only 4 versus 5, so we don't want that to happen anymore. We obviously can see the Jace is top, but we don't know where the Kha'Zix is at this point, and obviously he'll come into vision in a minute. Now Jace is doing the usual thing he's done all game, push out top lane to force our top laners to go back, and then he'll go back with his team, so then it's a 5v4. Really clever by this Jace. Now, this is a mistake on my team and myself. 4 of them go to kill the Jace or push him back, where I think it's not needed, so I stay in mid, farming mid lane, and I actually go a bit aggressive on the Thresh. Cue the Thresh, and bam, I die. Thresh ult, Trist jump, everybody jumps. And yeah, bad mistake on myself. They do manage to pick up the Jace, which is not terribly bad. You could call it a 1-for-1, but the Volibear, as you would see if you looked, he was not even involved in the kill. The Volibear gets hooked, which is quite bad, and gets killed instantly. So again, running into the enemy team when he shouldn't is not always great. But yeah, the Volibear wasn't involved in killing the Jace, so arguably he should have just stayed in mid. He was not needed to kill the Jace. Right now, again, the game is not looking in a favourable situation for ourselves. We've, done a couple of dirt moments here and there. It happens in games, and this video will show that, you can do dirt moments and still come out with a victory. That may have ruined the ending for you guys, but I will say all commentaries I will do will end with a victory, even if it is a bad start for us, as I want to show you, what you do to win a game, not what you do to lose a game. Now, the Nautilus did burn flash around here a couple of seconds ago to try and pick up the Caitlyn the Caitlyn on a hook, but was unfortunate. Well, he missed his hook, which is pretty good for us. Now, these guys are doing dragon. We have a hunch that they're doing dragon, so we do decide to go in for them. I speed up the Janna to try and get the slow and tornado onto the Thresh, and she does manage to do so. We managed to pick up this kill. Obviously, yeah, Renekton burning his flash, but that does give us free dragon and 1 kill. Obviously, if you see the Jace on the minimap, still split pushing, still doing his job, and the Nautilus does a dirt moment here. Misses his Q, we got all the slows on top of him, and obviously in mid lane he burnt his flash to try and get the Caitlyn. So this again is another free kill onto the enemy team. It's a pretty good play by us. That is bringing it basically what they've been doing it to us, outnumbering them. We see the Jace's top, so we're making full advantage that we're outnumbering them. And we do want to send one person to go deal with the Jace at this point, which we do decide to go send Renekton, as at this point we are outnumbering them in any situation, as the Nautilus is down. So even if the Jace back, we will be 4-on-4, which we're fairly confident with. Now, the Kha'Zix poke is actually really high at this stage, so we do want to be a bit careful of that, and we do decide to back. Now, my blue buff is up, so I'm going to go ahead, and I believe I'm going to go over there and pick that up in a minute, but this Jace has rather overextended. Now, arguably this is quite a lot of CS to miss, but we think we can pick up this kill. Communicating to my Renekton to go, keep going, I can slow him easily, and it should be a free kill. Obviously, the Jace can't baseball bat me away with his E, as I'm not in range for it. So get a nice kill onto the Jace there, and everybody just basically needs to go a little bit less aggressive, and we just need to back to get items. I do decide to back to before I get the blue buff. If we look at the gold now, I do have 1300 gold on me, and Renekton has 2500, so that's a lot of gold just to have in your purse. So we just see what items I pick up now. Pick up a Seeker's Arm Guard. Obviously I have all these items. I have Nashor's Tooth, Lich Bane, Sork Boots, and Seeker's Arm Guard. A lot of people will say Berserker Greaves is the way forward on Kayle, where I basically, with my setup, I don't believe it is. You could argue that it may be if you run Magic Pen or the Armor Pen and Magic Pen hybrid reds, then maybe get Berserker Greaves. But myself, I run attack speed reds on Kayle, so therefore I do not need the extra attack speed from the Berserker Greaves, as I pick up Nashor's Tooth for my first item. Basically, we're just waiting for 5 at this point. We do not want to just go and engage them anymore as only 4 people. We always want to have 5 with us. So we're just hovering around. Obviously, there is quite a big wave, or a wave pushing down bot lane, but that should push out in our favour eventually. So we're just pushing up mid lane, seeing what we can do. And obviously now we are 5, we are a unit. Now, one thing to note, Volibear should not go over to the side. He should be right in front of our team. He should be peeling for our team. So that's one thing for him to improve on. Here we go. Here comes a fight. Now, Whirlwind, and I actually get hooked, which is not a terrible thing to do. Obviously, with my immunity, I actually can be okay. And immediately they try to go for our Caitlyn in the back. I ult myself because I was getting bursted by the Caitlyn. Now, at this point, the teamfight does not look very, good for us. But the Renekton is in the middle of them, and with my AoE on E, we managed to easily pick them up. Over to the side, our Caitlyn manages to pick up the kill. And again, we only lose 1, and we get 4. It's the same situation that our last 5v5 team fight went. We can get the Tristana here. She burns a barrier, and obviously she still has flash, which we didn't know. But basically, I'm trying to think that if she, if she's being greedy, she may want to jump on top of me. But obviously, having 5-0, she may want to maintain not dying yet. So we pick up the first middle tower, and we also pick up the middle inhib, which is a pretty good outcome for us. Obviously, always picking in inhib is a great map pressure. It will basically mean all our minions on the map are stronger, as an inhibitor buffs all your minions, in any lane. Which basically means, with an inhib down, all your lanes will be pushing in your favour, which is a great thing to do. Blue buff is up, so I'm just taking their blue buff. Always a good thing to do, stealing buffs away, but it's always great when it's on a champion that actually needs blue. So right now, if we look at my CDR, right now I have 40% CDR, which is the maximum CDR you can get. So right now you could say I am optimum, I can do the optimum damage with my current item setup. Now I'm going for the Tristana here. As you can see, I can burst her really good. Now she does use Blade and Ultimate on me to get me away, but we do manage to pick up the Tau, which is not a total loss for us. We're deciding just to base. Everybody's got a bit of gold again, and we're going to go for probably the final push. We're fairly strong at this point. Baron will be, a couple minutes. Well, there's Baron right now. But, we're kind of contemplating, should we go for Baron? I actually think they might be on Baron at this point. That's why I picked up my home guard. But then we get vision of the Nautilus mid, so immediately I know, they're not on it. Just walking around aimlessly, looking for an opponent to try and kill. And basically I'm delaying doing anything crazy until the Volibear gets back to us. Obviously he's picked up a home guard for himself. Returning to mid lane, probably just going to push it out a bit. Obviously, as you can see, we have super minions now, which is always a nice thing. They'll just generally push. Sure, they give the enemy a bit more gold when they kill them, but, you know, they are a force in lane. Now, we do know one thing, the Kha'Zix is bot lane, which has immediately given us pressure of Baron. We start the Baron even though, you know, we don't entirely know where their whole team is, but we do know they are one bot, so they are outnumbered. Now, one thing, this Kha'Zix has TP. There is a ward here. Why didn't he TP here? That is a very good question. But we managed to pick up the Baron nice and free and really quick. Obviously, being an attack speed hero with Kayle and Renekton and Caitlyn, we do a lot of damage to Baron. Now, we were heading mid there, but a call was made not to go mid, as obviously there is nothing to gain mid. We've got the inhibitor, we've got the tower, so we decide to go top lane. It's the nearest lane, and obviously the lane is also pushing in our favour, where if we see bot lane, the lane will eventually be pushing in our favour. With the inhib down, our minions are stronger. Managed to pick the turret up nice and quick there, and right now we are at a very strong stage. We are at sieging mode. Now, we don't have an incredible sieging team. We have basically one main sieger, which is a Caitlyn. I get hooked in. I'm actually hoping the Thresh will actually jump on me, but he doesn't. They've actually got a pretty good siege team themselves, or anti-siege team. They've got a Jace that can wave clear, they've got a Kha'Zix that can wave clear, and they've got a Triss that can wave clear. Right now we're actually trying to get a kill over the tower, and here we go. We're trying to get this Thresh so close to dying. That's basically what we were trying to go for. Kill over the wall, so that would give us free pressure of this tower. But still, it has given us pressure of the tower, seeing that the Thresh had to base, and he does not have home guard boots, so he's not up instantly. So it does give us pressure. So you say, okay, go into the tower. Now here we go. Nautilus ult, look at our team peeling for AD. They all get in the way, so he could not land a hook. Then Nautilus gets in the middle of the team fight, and bam, we kill their tank quite easily, and now they're tankless. They're very squishy. Their only other tanky champion is Thresh, and still he can't do anything. We're, getting rid of the Kha'Zix in the fight, and bam, I ultimate the Renekton, saving him, but I did actually burn flash myself there, and the Kha'Zix is actually trying to get killed. Good dodge by our Renekton, and there we go. That is the game, guys, and as you can see, it was not a squeaky clean game for us. We just managed to get it going again when we alliterate. Right, we need 5 people, we need to team fight as 5, and we can win the fight. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys maybe learned something, and always realize the game isn't over if it is going bad. You always can turn a game. Now, there will be commentaries over the next couple of days, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, and remember, keep playing League of Legends. Hey guys, really quickly, if you managed to make it to the end, then thank you. Just quickly to say where our team ended up in the 5v5 placement matches. We went 5-0 in the matches, and we only ended up in Silver 3, which I suppose isn't terrible. I don't know how the MMR works in these games. Obviously, we have 1 Platinum, 2 Golds, 1 Silver, and 1 Bronze in the team. But I also want to say there will be a Common Mistakes Episode 3 coming soon, which will be focusing on Jungle. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you again for watching.